with my friend Ramone is that when he was in this place, you don't mind if I tell a little bit of your story, right?
Oh, no.
So Ramone had come through gangs and he had been incarcerated. And what was so cool was for me to be able to watch him as a student in the building, and he began to transition out of this mindset of, whether it's homelessness, incarceration, gangs, to a whole new mindset. And one of the first things I noticed is you had men that were kind of gathering around you. They were decent leaders, making good choices. And then you started to nudge them a little bit, like saying, hey, what do you say we stop calling each other names and cussing? And what do you say we clean up how we talk? So for a moment, what was happening with you in the mission that changed you that way?
Yeah, so that's a big one. It was wanting to be a new man, transformed, accepting Jesus and the Lord as your Savior. It's a new life, and the old stuff's behind us, right? And for me to be able to humble myself and get myself on my knees and try to be as Christians as I can be was like, stop cussing. You know what I mean? That was just so. And then I would get a recognition of what I'm going to say before I even said it. So it helped me for like my speech, talking to others, and it just made me wiser for some reason.
Yeah, I saw it in you. I saw it. And then what was also cool was, here was a leader, here was a guy who's, many of us men are socialized. You don't ask for help. You don't talk about your weaknesses. And what I saw was he was willing to ask for help on homework. He was able to ask for help in some areas in order to get stronger so that he could really learn the material and he could really grow. It felt a little humbling to ask for help, wasn't it?
Yeah, asking for help and honestly listening to like the CLAs when they would tell me to clean up my room and stuff, it was something that didn't bother me because I knew that I had to do it. You know what I mean? And cleaning the room was something that I had to get used to because when I'm out there on my own, I have to apply that to myself or else I'll just leave everything on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
It was something that I have to accept. Hey, be clean. Being a newborn is like being clean. Say it's like I'm gonna be honest. Like I do cuss. You know what I mean? But at the time that I decided to change my life, I did not cuss. I wouldn't use the word fool. I wouldn't use the word dog. And I used that for a prior of like a year.
All your friends, right? You'd be talking about, hey, you fool, you dog. Hey, they're calling each other all these names. And he was thinking, like, what do you say we cut back on that? What do you say we start showing each other a bit more respect? I remember that happening.
Yeah, and it's just different the way people talk to you. And it's different the way that you communicate with others. But for me, it was listening to CLAs, getting the leadership here. They just want the best for us, and I just took it. I didn't argue about it. Mm-hmm. And then they asked me, "Hey, can you take out the trash? Can you do this? Can you sign up?" I'll sign up. I knew individuals that wouldn't sign up.
Right.
That slept all day. Mm-hmm. And didn't do nothing.
And also fakes. We all know that there are some individuals in here that are sort of faking it. And what was exciting was for men that could have faked it, could have pretended. I thought it was pretty wonderful that strong men, leaders, men and women, would step up in a way where they were really doing the work because they figured, hey, if I'm here for a year, why don't I go ahead and really lean into the change? And so the next change I saw in him was this real desire to get a job, but he kept getting rejected. He kept getting rejected. Come on up here, Archie. Kept being rejected in the job applications. And I remember him becoming really discouraged. To the point where he thought that it was a bit of a reflection on him. And then the last job that he got rejected for that really tore him up was McDonald's, wasn't it?
It was McDonald's and it was the collision center
yep.
To repair cars.
So what's happening is he was thinking that a no in the job market meant there was something wrong with him, something broken. And that is not the case. And what's so amazing is that it almost became a God thing, but because by getting enough no's, he got the right yes. He went to work for an organization called the RMD Group. He was helping with maintenance, repairs, and they loved this dude's work ethic, some of which was developed here. They loved his work ethic, his honesty, the new man that he was, so much so that they gave him New Employee of the Year, gave him this great big brand new electric bike, and just, threw an event for him and had the press there and the whole works. What did that feel like?
It felt I wouldn't lose faith. Sometimes I attempt to lose faith, but never lose faith. I never lost my faith. It just bringing the positive energy with negativity and just being able to pray within myself and not let nobody know, hey, I feel this negative energy, to fill me to some positive in everybody else around me. And it strongly helped me out, because they ended up being my friends. They ended up helping me out in the industry, I didn't know what to walk into. Tim's like, apply at this job. I was like, no, I want to do my auto, I want to work on cars, this and that. And he's like, try it. And I tried it, and it's been the asking for help is what I mean to say. Ask for help. You guys are here. Take the opportunity. Grab it. Don't let it walk away from you guys. Grab it. Get the help you guys need. This wasn't my first program. I went through other programs, and I got to say this program was the one that helped me the most. And I hope it does that to you guys as well.
And when you ask for help, it's amazing how doors open. I think it has a little bit to do with psychology, a little bit to do with God, a little bit to do with common sense, that if you are willing to say, man, I'm at a loss, I need help, somebody can give you a perspective that can be game-changing. So let's go to that as an example. I noticed that there was a man sort of following him around. They were friends, but this friend, Roberto, who may be coming in shortly, he's coming out of work. Roberto just got a promotion, so excited. So Roberto was kind of following him around, and I remember smiling to myself thinking, leader, follower, with respect. And now what's happened is this Roberto has gotten out there, his confidence has grown, he's a little bit of a leader. There's now a group of alumni that are downtown, sober, friends, supporting each other, helping students get jobs, helping alumni get better jobs. And it's like this growing network. And Roberto, I've noticed, is a bit of a leader now, isn't he?
Big time.
Isn't it interesting? Do you remember how quiet he was
quiet,
here?
Yeah.
He's really quiet.
I had to break his shell. You know what I mean?
How did
I'm
you?
trying to be your friend, bro.
Yeah.
Answer back to me, and I had to tell him like that,
He's your big homie now.
My big homie now, yeah.
But it's so cool because the reason why I have so much excitement about alumni and why I want you guys to believe in your future and that you can change dramatically is because I have seen it happen hundreds of times. Is my heart broken that some men and women in this program take FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt, despair, and just hang on to it, and some of the old tapes keep playing? So for example, I remember when this man and Roberto and Martin were in a group, a big group of men where we would support one another. It was a Celebrate Recovery. And I remember that there was a voice in there, a man in there who was cynical, always talking about how we were too optimistic, we were fools, he wasn't a cynic, he was realistic. And I remember he was always putting poison into our drinking water. And these guys didn't let it affect them. And a lot of people didn't let it affect them. So I would say to you that there's a really good chance that whether there's someone around you or even thoughts going through your head, try not to give any energy to the things that tear you down, and look at the fact that there are individuals that can step up and change their lives. A closing comment with Ramone before we go to Martin is, it's easy to laugh at students in here that are taking the initiative, that are taking risks, that are being vulnerable, that are trying to volunteer, that are trying to go above and beyond. You can laugh at that. And you could act like, that's not real, or I'm not like that, you're brown nosing. No, these are people trying to learn to have like service and to change their focus. So this guy started cutting hair. He started doing the outreach events. While he was a student here, he started cutting hair. And he'd go out into our outreach events and cut hair, and he met that man, Martin, who was on the streets. Tell me about your experience, how you started volunteering more, how it led to this, and what was your experience with Martin before we bring him up here?
Yeah, I mean, I just felt like I needed to give back to the mission. The mission was always helping me out on everything I needed. I had socks, toothpaste, toothbrush. Not gonna take negative advantage of it. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, bye, and then end up in the streets again. I'm sorry, that wasn't my goal. So I wanted to give my time. I wanted to find a job, and when I started doing outreach, I just seen a lot of opportunities where I got connected with the courts at a pop-up event, and they expunged my nine cases. They expunged me. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
Try to get one expungement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got 9 of them, and they seen that I was volunteering. I talked to the secretary of, I don't know what they call them,
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the main ladies. They were super nice to me. One of the guys wanted to give me like a little attitude, but it switched off when they seen that I wasn't out there just in the streets. I was out there volunteering, looking for the help, looking for people I can help. And
there's some scripture that says, no good thing will he withhold if you walk upright. And this dude was walking upright, and it's not always easy. When I was at a recent outreach event with him, and he was out there cutting hair, some gang member shows up, all closed up. He's got everything closed up, and he's staring at Ramone, trying to provoke him. In his eyes, he like immediately tuned into this guy. I turned, and what Ramone did was he's changed who he is. He didn't give that guy the energy. He didn't give that guy the power to get into some kind of confrontation. We just sort of ignored him and continued our conversation. But the old Ramone would have been drawn into that energy. So he's a new man. He's connected to his family. His adult children, how old are they now, your daughters?
15 and 19.
They are so excited and proud of their father. The family is so excited and proud of the father that I got to just tell you that everything changes when you decide to make a significant change and ask for help, get a good church, get a support network, and don't lose touch with your friends in here. What always spooks me is when I hear someone in here say, I'm not like those other people in here. I'm not like them. You'd be amazed what's in here. There are men of courage, women of courage, there are saints, there are incredible souls in here that we then watch 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years later becoming pastors, wives, homeowners, business owners, and giving back in ways you can't even believe.